we're honored to have the Vice President, Annalisa Pellegrino, to talk to us today about becoming little houses of Nazareth. Thank you.
Good evening. Good to see you. So, I've already heard the title of the meditation. It is, in Nazareth, Jesus and Mary together formed the kingdom of the divine will. In this meditation, we will thoughtfully address the theme at hand, taking a brief moment before we begin. Of the kingdom of the divine will, formed in Nazareth, by Jesus, the King of this kingdom, his mother Mary, the Queen of this kingdom, and Saint Joseph, all of whom are deeply honored here. This holy family living in Nazareth truly founded the kingdom of the divine will. They kept it in full vigor, of course, but Jesus the King and Mary the Queen did not have a people. They were without a people. And we know very well that a king and a queen without their people simply cannot reign. In fact, humanly speaking, kingdom means a place or a sphere where someone or something dominates over someone or something. For believers, for us then, we are speaking about a particular and specific kingdom, namely the kingdom of God. Already in the Old Testament, in the history of the covenant in which God reveals himself as the sovereign who guides history, in the kingdom of God, we speak before the institution of an earthly monarchy. The chosen people, in fact, recognize God as their own king. But after the nomadic life and the conquest of the land, it establishes a monarchy to be like the other nations. In the Old Testament, as a matter of fact, we know that there is the Book of Kings. Actually, there are two of them, known as First and Second Kings. And there are some books, some chapters that are older than the book, the biblical books, the definitive ones. Later, however, because of this historical failure of the kings who will follow one another, the people ask for and wait for a messianic king, a descendant of King David, who must establish a kingdom of justice and peace. This concept of kingdom evolves in the New Testament, where the kingdom becomes a reality present in Jesus Christ. And it is precisely he who will announce it. I did some research. The word kingdom occurs in the New Testament more than 100 times. In the Gospels, Jesus speaks of the kingdom when he answers Pilate. He says so in John 18:36. My kingdom is not of this world. Jesus says again in the Gospel, in Mark 1:15, the kingdom of God is near. In Luke chapter 17, verse 21, he then says, pause, the kingdom of God is in your midst. In the prayer that he teaches us instead, that he leaves to his church, he says, thy kingdom come. So, to really understand, is the kingdom actually here? Is it near, or is it still yet to come? So beyond what I have written, I'll make a brief consideration of my own here. When I listened to the gospel, I always found myself asking this question. But the kingdom, where is it? Which one is it? Well, Jesus even explains to us in the gospel what the kingdom is like. What is its importance? He says, in fact, that it is the treasure that is hidden in a field, and that it is truly worth giving up every other good thing in order to recover it. Another comparison likens it to a precious pearl. In another parable, Jesus speaks of the kingdom as a mustard seed, which is the smallest of seeds, but as it grows, it becomes one of the largest trees. We find it in Mark 4:26-32. In the revelation of his public life, Jesus therefore announced, spoke of, and compared his kingdom. But he shed more light on the kingdom by using the little daughter of the divine will, Louisa. He spoke to her for about 40 years, regularly asking her to please put everything in writing so that it would serve all of humanity. Let us ask him then. Let's ask Louisa to understand what and where this kingdom is. And above all, we must sincerely ask her to help us understand and truly love the divine will, so that we may allow it to reign in our lives. We began by saying that in Nazareth on earth, the kingdom has already been founded by Jesus and Mary, specifying that it is in fact the kingdom of the divine will on earth, that is the kingdom of God on earth just as it is in heaven. We know, as it is written in the book of Genesis, that there were two people who, through their actions, had ultimately destroyed this once glorious kingdom of the divine will here on earth. And Jesus, by becoming incarnate, came to restore it. He wanted there to be two as well. Along with him, he wanted Mary, his mother. And they are the new Adam and the new Eve. Mary, in fact, was truly inseparable from Jesus during the 30 years of his hidden life in Nazareth, both spiritually and physically. And first Jesus as king and then Mary as queen established themselves as the foundations of the kingdom destroyed by the human will. So now we will see who destroyed this kingdom and why this kingdom is not here. Let's say it's not here as Jesus explains in the gospel yet, but we must wait for it. The human will had been, in fact, the first to offend the divine will by withdrawing from it, while all the other offenses were the consequence of an act of a rebellious human will. The human will is truly so important and absolutely fundamental for any creature to be happy or unfortunate, to live or even to die. All evil or good lies within the will. Just a small note here. When you are studying and reflecting on the writings of Louisa, there is always an error that seems small, but it is very large. That is, it is commonly believed that the human will is effectively annulled. But no, we are reading now, at this very moment, that the human will is, in fact, truly fundamental for the achievement of the kingdom. The coming of Jesus Christ to earth had, as its primary and most significant purpose, to fully satisfy the will of the Father for the very first offensive act of the human will of the creature. This is because only those who truly possess the kingdom of the divine will within themselves can actually merit and obtain what is truly divine. Only Jesus, who is in fact both true God and true man, possessing within himself, by his own virtue, the radiant sphere of the Son of the divine will, the very source of light, he was, through this inner strength, able to bring the divine back to earth. And he wanted the Virgin Mary alongside him, who instead is a dwelling place where from all sides the sunlight of the divine will enters. We said Jesus by his own virtue, Mary, however, only by grace. She is in the grip of the light that dominates her. She always receives light and grows under the influence of the light. Saint Joseph was present in the house of Nazareth. We say poor thing, but he's not a poor thing because he lived and was ecstatic from the reflections of the divine will of both. Through the writings of the servant of God, Luisa Piccarreta, here is the precise explanation of exactly what Jesus announced in the Gospel as he spoke about the kingdom of his will, carefully describing its meaning and significance in many moments. For example, in volume 19, July 14th, 1926. Jesus says it like this: "My daughter, the perfect glory and the complete love for my will was given by my humanity. It was right inside me, right there in the very center of this heart, that I formed the kingdom of the supreme will. And since man had lost it, nor was there hope of being able to regain it, my humanity, I regained it with deeply intimate and truly unheard of pains, each one felt profoundly, giving me all of the lost and long overdue honors that were rightfully mine, and the glory taken from him by the creature, to then give it back again as a gift to the creature. Jesus comes to regain it, to reconquer it, not for himself, because God already possesses the divine will, but in order to give it back to man. In this way, he restores what was lost. The Lord has never abandoned us. He has returned despite the sin." Can I say something? It makes you smile, Sister Assunta. Someone will have known her surely. She used to always say, when I go to heaven, I will first ask Adam why. Now she must have surely asked him. When we go, we will definitely ask her about it, so that the kingdom of my will was formed really in my own humanity. Therefore, everything that was formed in it, in reality, it came out bearing the clear imprint of the fiat of my will, just as it is in heaven, so also on earth. Every thought of mine, every look, breath, heartbeat, Every single drop of my blood, every part of me, everything I am and everything I possess, all of it bore the unmistakable seal of my fiat, of my supreme and divine kingdom. So all of these acts, every single one, were carefully coined and shaped by Jesus himself. They each carry the divine and holy imprint of Jesus, marked forever by his presence and authority. Now, over the course of centuries, I looked for whom I should entrust this kingdom to. And I have been much like a pregnant mother who suffers greatly because she so desperately wants to give birth, but for some reason she simply cannot. The mothers present here know very well what it means to have a child in the womb, wanting to bring it to light. One cannot wait. One waits with anxiety. This comparison that Jesus made with a mother waiting for a child is effective, at least for women. For men, I don't know. How much a mother truly suffers, because after having patiently matured this birth, and it's still not coming out, she waits, enduring the pain and uncertainty. Her existence is always in danger. How much I suffered. Much more, because I have always kept this kingdom as if it were a secret, carefully hidden deep within my heart. Because we are not truly seeing in the creatures around us their real and genuine dispositions. To be able to give this kingdom, and since they had not yet taken all of the goods and possessions of the kingdom of redemption, I couldn't risk giving them the kingdom of my will, which contains greater goods. This is an important point to note. The kingdom of the divine will contains greater goods than that of redemption. Because the purpose of creation, actually, so much more than just the goods of redemption, served as an accompaniment, as an antidote, to ensure that creatures entering the kingdom of my will could not repeat, even for a moment, a second fall like Adam did. Therefore, I was content to patiently suffer and wait, even more than a devoted lover would, so as not to endanger the precious and dear offspring of my kingdom. And so I watched the passing of the centuries, waiting for my little newborn of the kingdom of my will, gently surrounding her with all the precious and wonderful goods of redemption for the safety and lasting protection of the kingdom of my will. We know that Louisa was, first of all, a victim soul, so Jesus carefully prepared her for this new and important mission, the mission of the kingdom of the divine will. And so Louisa, you see, was crucified with Jesus. She participated in the passion of Jesus. Her first mission. Now, more than a sorrowful mother, I entrust this to you, Louisa. This offspring of mine and the fate of this kingdom of mine. It is not only my humanity that wants to bring forth this offspring of mine together with my mother Mary, which costs me so much, but also all of creation. It is pregnant with my will, and it yearns because it wants to give birth to it for the creatures. St. Paul says it in the letter to the Romans, 8:18, 19, 23. So creation is like a veil which hides the divine will like a pact. And the creatures take the veil, and they reject the pact that is inside. It happens to us when we see a beautiful sunset, a beautiful flower. It happens to us. Admiring the beauty of that, perhaps quietly taking a moment to appreciate it, but maybe not really going all the way to the origin of that beauty. Now, who will give this outlet and relief to my humanity? Who will break these veils of so many created things that hide my will? Who will recognize in all things the true bearer of my will, and by giving it the due and proper honors, will allow it to reign within their soul, truly letting it guide and inspire every part of their being, giving it dominion and its solitude. Therefore, my daughter, he says it to Louisa, but he says it to us as well. Be attentive and give this contentment to your Jesus, who until now has yearned so much to bring forth this birth of my supreme kingdom. And together with me all of creation as a single act, you will break through the veils and gently deposit within yourself the birth of my will, which I have carefully hidden. So Louisa is the deposit, and he makes her the deposit of all the goods of the divine will. Still in volume 19? Sometime later, specifically on August 22nd, in the year 1926, Jesus continues to say to Louisa, as if Louisa hadn't understood it, your mission is truly great, really. Because it is not just about personal holiness, but rather, it is about embracing absolutely everything and everyone, preparing the kingdom of my will for human generations. My daughter, whoever is called as the head of a mission, must truly embrace and support all the members of that mission, making sure to include everyone and care for each person involved. Dominate them, and gently become the very life of each one of us. Being the head often means suffering quite a lot, working very hard, and doing all of this to carefully prepare the best possible good for everyone. But all that one possesses truly and completely ultimately surpasses everything else and everyone around them. What is necessary for you is that you must carefully form the tree, ensuring it has all the fullness of the branches and the rich multiplicity of the fruits. It will generally not be necessary for those who are simply meant to be only a branch or a fruit. Thank goodness. We hope to be a branch or a fruit. We must not be the tree as she was. Their task, and therefore ours as well, will be to remain incorporated into the tree, to receive and absorb the vital humors that it contains within itself. That is, to let oneself be dominated by my will, never giving life to one's own will. In all things, whether they are internal or external, take a moment to reflect. Our task is to truly know my will and to receive it as our very own life, allowing it to carry out its divine life within us. In short, to make it reign and dominate as queen. Here in Corato, we welcome many pilgrims. And as many people often say, it is actually quite difficult to do. How is it done? Here, it really seems quite easy, mainly because we only need to be united together in order to receive. What do you say? You who come from outside? It's easy. Yes. As you enter into the life of my will, the rainbow of peace will form, which will serve as the important connecting link, acting as a bridge between the divine will and the human will, from which the kingdom of my will on earth will have life and will have its beginning and fulfillment. My prayer and that of the whole church. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. From the house of Nazareth, then, everything is done for the kingdom of the divine will. Louisa has become its channel, so that there may be hope that it returns full of vigor in human generations. So Jesus did everything with Mary. Louisa has become the depository of these goods, so now it is truly up to us to take them and make them ours. We just need to reach out and claim what is already waiting for us. Knowing Louisa's diary, one understands that every creature becomes a kingdom when in their own actions they let the divine will reign. In the end, what for me was a doubt, but where is the kingdom? What is it? What is it? Has it come? Must it come? The kingdom is me. It is each one of us. If we let the divine will reign, we are carriers, multiplying those who voluntarily, let's really emphasize voluntarily, participate, truly know the divine will, truly love it, and allow Jesus to carefully prepare them and gently dispose them to perform acts within it. The people that is missing is being formed to Jesus and Mary. Do you remember what we said at the beginning? We said that the kingdom was founded in the house of Nazareth. There is Jesus the King. There is Mary the Queen. But they didn't have the people. We are this people. In the book that Louisa wrote, The Virgin Mary in the Kingdom of the Divine Will, in the 25th meditation, Mary says this: "My daughter, listen to me. In this house of Nazareth, the kingdom of the divine will was formed in my nature and in the humanity of my Son, to make it a gift to the human family. But when exactly would it actually be ready to receive the good? We said voluntarily. What we also said at the beginning, the human will is important, fundamental, because we must truly decide to know, to genuinely love, and to let the divine will gently reign in our lives. Although my Son was king and I queen, we were king and queen without a people. Our kingdom, although it truly could have encompassed everyone and given life to all, was in the end left deserted. But creatures received the right to enter this kingdom because it was possessed by me and by my Son, who belonged according to the human order, to the human family. So Jesus and Mary gently opened the doors, and they gave us the right to live as the people of this kingdom, of this divinity, granting us this privilege. Our hidden life throughout the 30 years of my Son quietly served to carefully prepare the kingdom of the divine will for all creatures. Every little act, the work. Jesus was a carpenter. He hammered nails into the wood. Mary lighting the fire. A mother preparing food. They were all animated by the supreme will and were formed upon the unwavering firmness of pure and genuine love, to then make them available to those people who will willingly and voluntarily choose to use them, to live in the divine way. We can live in the divine way, Jesus says in another passage of Louisa. Learn to live in the divine way. Lift yourself up from the earth and live of heaven. Everything truly is in every way at the expense of our dear Jesus. I have finished. I sincerely wish you, that in each and every one of our actions, the fiat may truly reign. Fiat.